Well, hello everyone from Madrid. I am joined by none other than Faizal Westcott. I've made my way over from Valencia yesterday, and the mission for today is to conduct an interview with Faizal. Now, me and Faizal go back a fair way. We've travelled God knows to how many places, and I kind of already know all the answers to his questions, but many of you might not. Many of you might not even know who Faizal is, and I'll link him down below, so do check him out. But that's it, I've been waffling for a while. Oh, quickly, thank you so much for the support on the book. Great feedback so far, and again, thank you for purchasing it. And let's get into the interview. We just walked into a building site. Not sure we're supposed to be here. Hope for the best.
I love just texture.
Yeah.
It's not really unique to Madrid, but I just like collecting like any kind of ripped poster.
Yeah, I've definitely seen stuff like that from you before.
It's just so fun to play around with what kind of shapes you can make. Maybe it turns into a larger project.
Bus.
And you'll probably notice I get this close to getting hit oftentimes when I shoot. Dude, like in every POV video, I'm like almost getting hit by a car. It's not good. Hey everyone, my name is Faizal Westcott.
I've not started recording yet.
Fuck. My name is Faizal Westcott. I'm a photographer, I guess YouTube content creator at this point. And I'm now based in New York, born in Boston, and I do a lot of traveling. Same as this guy, and right now we're in Madrid. Been here for 2.5 weeks, but leaving next week. But overall, cool city. I like it. Now
Very
I'm
good.
starting to ramble. Come on, you gotta end it.
No, it's all good, it's all good. And in terms of your photography, let's imagine someone hasn't seen your work at all. How would you describe your work to someone who might not know what it is?
I like to just call it street photography, although that's a pretty general term nowadays. I think we all agree like street photography can be so many different things, but I like to just use that as a way to describe it because a lot of people know and have a sense of what street photography is and can relate to my photography as being that. But I don't like to call myself a street photographer, just a photographer, because I like to photograph everything, and it doesn't matter where I am or what is interesting to me. That's what I'll photograph. So if it's people, if it's landscape, nature, anything really, but it's mostly street because I'm mostly traveling to like big cities and living in big cities, so that ends up being what I photograph mostly. Well, late Valentine's Day. I feel bad for this guy. There's some triggers I always have, and it's when people are carrying things.
Yeah.
So if it's, I don't know, I find it happens a lot more in Europe. Just people have things in their hands other than phones, which makes it so interesting. Flowers, mirrors, lamps, pizza. Started photography quite young, like when I was in my teenage years. My dad always had an interest in photography, so I picked up photography through him, and it was through like traveling. So when we went to Indonesia, back in 2012, I would kind of like always want to grab his camera and take pictures. I didn't really know what it was, what this thing did, but it kind of started the interest for me. And I think that also coincided with travel as well, because there's no coincidence that it was also when I was traveling, right? That I was into photography. But then I took it more seriously through high school. I took a photography class. Learned film photography first, actually. Did the dark room and printmaking. Then I got my first digital camera 2014. And that's also when I started an Instagram account. I'm not there yet, not YouTube's later. And with Instagram, that kind of opened up the door to like, oh wow, people actually resonate with the photos I'm taking, and I'm getting some sort of feedback, and that kind of led me to where I am today. So I don't know if it started when I was 2012. I think so.
And speaking of your camera, what is your go-to camera and what is your go-to focal length?
My go-to camera is this, the X-T5, and I'm kind of in this period where I'm trying to figure out if I really like shooting with longer lenses still, but for a very long time I've been shooting with a 35, which is like a 56 millimeter in full frame. In the past few months, I've been actually using the 50 millimeter more, which is a 76 millimeter. So very tight framed compositions, and I think it lends more to my style of photography, which is more abstract, less, less focused on people and like moments happening, and more so on scenes and just patterns and shapes. That's what draws me.
Shall we go inside because we're getting soaked?
Yeah.
When you're out shooting, what is it you're actually looking for? Like, what draws your eye? So if you're walking down the street, are there any certain cues that catch your eye? Is it light? Is it composition? Like, is it any?
Definitely light, probably first. Like on a bright sunny day. I like shooting in harsh light a lot, which a lot of photographers don't, but I like the shapes that shadows create, and light and color, I would say. But I kind of photograph a lot of different things, so anything that's interesting to me, I'll photograph, and I'll ask questions later, Yeah.
And as you've progressed as a photographer, what you look for, has that changed? So maybe what you were looking for 5 years ago, is that different today?
I used to shoot, photograph people a lot more than I used to. Or I used to photograph people a lot more than I do now. And I think after COVID, I kind of shifted to more an abstract approach to shooting. And that led me to shooting with longer focal lengths, and I shot less wide. I used to shoot with a 35 a lot.
If you're shooting, let's say wide, let's say 28 mil,
yeah,
and then you're shooting tight, let's say 80 mil, is there a difference in what you would look for when you're shooting in each specific lens?
I think with the longer, tighter focal lengths, I lean more to abstraction, but because you're so limited with what you can photograph in terms of people with a long lens, like a 90. I shot with your 90 millimeter in Venice, and I was kind of just shooting straight down these long alleyways. That's all I could really photograph, but I could play around with shapes, and I can be more selective with patterns and have more fun creatively with longer focal lengths. So I feel like that's why I shoot with them more. With wider focal lengths, I kind of shoot people more, I guess.
And this just reminds me, with some of your photos, they're not always perfectly straight. They might be slightly tilted, or maybe the geometry, so someone who is very particular might say, oh, the horizon's not straight. Is that an artistic choice to have your photos slightly tilted? Not all of them, but some of them slightly tilted?
Yeah, it is, especially with wider lenses. I like a slightly canted effect. It has a certain effect to the composition. It doesn't feel so linear and so straight.
Yeah.
And when you just slightly tilt everything, things become more angular in the street, the buildings, the shapes that I'm looking for, and I find it more visually nice to look at. Apart from light and color, reflections are always something that catches my eye.
Do you find that if the light's not good, you default to reflections because you can get a bit more light out of a reflection than you can?
I never looked at it that way.
Okay, that's how I tend to look at it. For me, it's if the light's really crap, I'll tend to go for reflections because you can go more abstract and you can, let's say, boost your highlights and shadows to almost exaggerate any light that's there.
I guess so.
How do you
look at it? I never looked at it. I always just looked at reflections as being a more interesting way of seeing what's out here. You know, like this to me is kind of boring, but like up there is more interesting. Just the way reflections can warp the scene behind you. And that's just, you know, the abstract approach that I like.
And speaking of subjects and things you shoot, in a lot of your photography, there is a human element. However, you don't always show faces, they're hidden, it's more abstracty. But even so, because you're shooting in the city, have you ever had any issues with people saying, what are you doing? Why are you taking my photo? Have you had any kind of experiences?
Yes, but not often. It's like when people do, they're kind of like, did you take my photo? And I'll be like, yes. And I'll just say, you know, I'm a photographer and mean no harm. I'll delete the photo if you want. No, I just respect people if they don't want me to take pictures. But it's never been anything where like I've feared for my own safety or anything. But it's very rare actually that I get approached. Like I don't even remember the last time I was called out by anyone taking photos.
And with a lot of your photography, there's a lot of color and a lot of black and white as well. And is there a particular thought process of why one photo might be color and why another photo might be black and white? Is there a process behind it, or is it gut feeling? How does it work?
It's easier for me to choose color when there's a prominent color in a scene. So if I see like a building or there's this wall that's red, and it's like, that's what's drawing my eye to take the photo in the first place. That's essentially the color red's the main subject. So that's when I will always use color. And in situations where I use black and white, it can be, I don't know, I feel it out when I'm editing most of the time. It's not usually when I'm shooting that I know that it's going to be black and white or not. I find a lot of more geometric pictures where I'm using, you know, architecture. I choose black and white more for those images because of the shapes and the contrast that can come from it. So what I did there was I used this structure to create a bit of foreground depth. And
did it pay off?
I got that guy kind of walking there. And I like shooting, accidentally deletes the photo. Jeez.
Whoops.
I'm basically using my environment as, I guess they call it blocking, where you take your subject is kind of framed in this block, and you're using the shapes of your environment.
Cool.
So there was a reflection here. I don't know if you see this building. It's kind of like, it tilts, and it reflects this pathway right there. Sometimes when I shoot, I'll see something, like a person will walk by, and I kind of wait out the area because I'm banking on the fact that's going to happen again to take a photo. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but in this case it just did. I got the photo. Patience as the number 1 tip for today.
I like how you went extra American with the accent as well.
I don't know what just happened there, but
so that's the guy who put this up. He just walked up to us. Faizal's taken his portrait.
Thank you.
And he's put that up.
19 años. Edad.
Oh, okay.
Años.
Wow.
Petit garçon. Baby. Era John Baby.
Sí.
Wow.
Sí.
O aquello.
Oh, wow. Well, gracias.
Gracias.
Pleasure. Adios. Gracias.
Adios.
What did he say?
We're gonna need someone to translate that for the video, but very friendly gentleman.
Apparently, from what I gather, he put this up, is what he was saying.
It seemed so.
Yeah.
He seemed very proud
Right.
of this,
Yeah.
which I think is an art installation.
Right.
I mean, I thought it was interesting. We got a little street portrait.
Very good.
I like his smile.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
smile
That's a
on.
proud smile. That's the smile of a man who's put this thing up.
Oh yeah.
What a guy. So it's absolutely pissing it down. Faizal just got soaked because he stood in a massive puddle. I'm completely... Yeah.
Sidewalk in a rope.
I'm completely soaked. We're trying to find somewhere dry to carry on filming because obviously you just end up getting soaked otherwise. So yeah, so far today has not gone to plan. We're going to go into Honours Greens. Actually, if you're in Spain, Honours Greens is a great place to eat. Really healthy food. Obviously it's not sponsored, but you know what I mean. So yeah, Honours, yeah, Honours Greens. Then hopefully the rain goes away. It's absolutely pissing it down. There'll have to be a part 2 for this because there is no way we can finish that here. Absolutely no way. It's it was meant to be clear, and now, yeah, it's going to be heavy rain for the rest of the day. So time to head back, and hopefully there was enough for this episode. And stay tuned for part 2, which will probably be in Japan. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully it'll be a bit warmer and sunnier than this. If you're finding this video useful and wish to support the channel, then one of the best ways to do so is to check out my little photography book. This book consists of everything I know about photography and everything I've learned over the last decade put into a concise and easy to understand format. Think of this as a photography course without the cost. It covers psychology, mistakes, lessons learned, lighting, composition, color, editing, workflow, and so much more. For more information, see the links in the description, and thank you for your support.